Downton Abbey has escalated to a bigger fuckload of people. These are their problems. Play that piano. The carnival has come to Downton, and love is in the air. Mary is having her Rose to Whip You Cater moment, okay? She's very upset that her life revolves around charity work and polo matches and cotillions until she gets married. She's also mad at her dad, who won't fight for her inheritance of Downton. And Robert tells her, I don't own it. I am just the groundskeeper. I cannot bequeath it to you. The only way you can ensure to stay here is to marry Matthew. And Cora's like, you need to marry Matthew. And she's like, I'm not going to do it because you're telling me to. And Grandma's like, she really needs to marry Matthew, but since she won't do it, I'm going to go to Matthew himself because he doesn't really want the estate anyway. And I'm going to have him look through the legal paperwork to see if we can just give it to Mary since he doesn't want it. And so that's what Matthew does. He goes through all the paperwork to see if there's any way they can just give it to Mary because he doesn't want it. And there's no way to do that. But he's already said, even though he doesn't want it, he's willing to put in the work that needs to be done for everyone to keep their jobs and the estate maintained. Meanwhile, Mama Crowley is back doing her house MD work again, okay? Her butler, Wosley. Meanwhile, Mama Crowley is up to her house MD shit again because her butler, Wosley, has some kind of rash on his hands. And she's like, oh, you've been cut. This looks infected. Here, put some tincture and some nitrous oxide or whatever the fuck it was on this bitch for 2 weeks. And it's still not going away. Mind you, she got all the medication for Wosley from the doctor's office by pretending to be the chairman of the hospital board, who is actually Grandmama. Wosley goes back to the doctor and he's like, hey, this ain't working. And then Grandmama sees his hands and she's like, you've been working around in the fucking garden with your dad. Put on some damn gloves. And that's the end of that. Wosley's all good. Meanwhile, Robert hired a new chauffeur. His name is Thomas, and he is a socialist from Ireland. But Robert doesn't know that he's a socialist. Anyway, Thomas the socialist from Ireland happens to be very smitten with Sybil Crawley, the youngest daughter. My very favorite character out of the whole series, by the way. Sybil is a feminist who wants the right to vote, wants to go to school, and used her new frock money to buy a pant set. Actually, it's like a jumpsuit, but it has pants. Scandalous. By the way, she also was using her own name as a reference so that Rose Leslie could get a job as a secretary, but they canceled it because she wasn't qualified. She was going to pretend to be sick because Anna is sick right now so that she could go to the interview. But while Anna is sick, Mr. Bates keeps checking on her and even brought her soup when he wasn't supposed to. But he's also threatening Thomas, who asked Daisy to the fair only because William wanted to go to the fair with Daisy and Thomas is an ass. Then William felt bad and Mrs. Hughes made him feel bad, who was also on a hot date. 10 out of